Welcome back, everyone, to Pod of Thrones. I'm Jeff.
I'm Jennifer.
All right, so we're not going to talk about anything Game of Thrones today. I want to get right into this. We got a special guest. We got a lot to talk about. I'm going to introduce you guys to Mr. EDDIE Pence. EDDIE Pence, welcome to the show.
Hey, guys.
I feel like we should have applause.
Maybe I can edit some in.
Yeah.
We don't usually do this in front of a live audience, unfortunately. Maybe someday.
Well, it's a good thing you're not talking Game of Thrones because I have no idea. I don't know anything about Game of Thrones.
Yes, and I've sent you an email or two trying to talk you into that, but we're still not quite there, are we?
I'm so backlogged on shows that I get yelled at for not watching.
Yes.
You don't have much time, I imagine.
But some shows take priority, right? Like you might have a backlog of shows, but then something comes along like The Mandalorian or WandaVision.
WandaVision, Falcon Winter Soldier. I have to watch those, and I started them when they came out, so it's like I can watch it one a week. I can do that, but like if I go to Game of Thrones, I got to watch how many seasons of Game of Thrones. Same with like Peaky Blinders. Everyone yells at me about Peaky Blinders, and
we haven't watched that one yet.
I'm like, I don't have infinite time.
Yeah, Game of Thrones is a commitment of about 80 hours of your life.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have that.
It's only 2 full work weeks, Eddie.
Oh, is that it?
Is that it? Maybe in a few years when your son's old enough to handle all the sex, maybe you guys can bond over it together. What?
Oh. What?
Game of Thrones. It's got a lot of sex and boobs and stuff in it.
Never bond over that with your children.
No? Is that not? I mean, look, my dad did not watch much stuff with me at all, so I just have to imagine what parents, fathers and sons bond over.
All right. We're pretty liberal with what he watches. We're not too like we watched the other day. We watched MacGruber with him.
We'll see.
How old is he?
11.
Oh.
But even then, I forgot some of the stuff that was in MacGruber. I'm like, probably shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, that'll happen.
We do that often. Yes.
So Eddie, for those people that do not know you yet, but should, tell us a little bit about yourself. How do you describe EDDIE Pence? What do you do, Eddie?
I'm a comedian, actor, and now I guess podcaster because that's a profession. So I do that. I've been in Los Angeles now like 22 years, something like that, and I've been doing comedy and acting all that time. I got into podcasting probably 2011 or 12. I think I did my first podcast back then, and then I've just sort of been doing it ever since. I co-host the Ralph Report with Ralph Garman on patreon.com. I had a sports show called Swings and Misses on radio.com with my good friends Jen Sturger and Cody Decker, and I do the Ramble with comedian Jerry Rocha, and that's sort of like we do that. I think we do like 4 episodes a week on that, so it's a lot. There was at one time last year before the pandemic really kicked in, I was doing 3 daily podcasts.
Wow!
And one was 3 hours, so I was doing like 5 hours of podcasting a day. It was a lot.
That is a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't want to say like, here's what EDDIE Pence is. I didn't want to say that first. I wanted you to take over, and you still said comedian first, even though in the last year, I feel like your career trajectory might feel different now than it used to. Do you still put comedian first? Yeah,
I'm always going to be a comedian first. It's like, that's just what I love to do. And that's the thing that I always try to do the most. It's just this past year, it's been difficult to do. I've done a couple of those Zoom type comedy shows, which are okay, but it's not the same as being up on stage in front of an audience. I'm actually doing my first live show in a couple of weeks in Long Beach. It's going to be the first time I'm actually going to be on stage in front of an audience in over a year, which is kind of nerve-wracking. I forgot how nerve-wracking that's going to be, but I already have the butterflies, and it's 2 weeks away.
What, I don't remember hearing you mention this before, but what kind of audience are you expecting?
I don't know. They just started doing this down in Long Beach. It's socially distanced. I don't know if it's one of those drive-in shows where the cars are there, or they just have people at tables like 6 feet apart or whatever. I'm not quite sure.
That sounds fun. Maybe it'll be like the event we did last night in a parking garage with our cars.
Where'd you guys go last night?
Last night we went so we live in Orange County, as many of our listeners know. We went up to LA with our friends, Kim and Eric, shout out. To Stranger Things drive drive-through experience.
Drive-through, I heard that experience. Cool. It was pretty cool.
It was pretty cool. I mean, if you're a Stranger Things fan, first and foremost, otherwise you're going to be like, what the hell is happening?
I haven't watched it, so.
There you go.
Don't go.
Yeah, so I wouldn't get any of it.
if you love the 80s, man, if that brings back memories for you, and I think it does, because I think we're about the same age. You probably love Stranger Things. But it was sort of like a slow moving Disneyland ride, but you're in your own car instead of one of their cars, you know?
Yeah, we took my son down to Orange County a couple weeks ago. We did that dinosaur drive through. They have like a dinosaur thing. It's almost like a Jurassic Park, like sort of drive through thing through the parking lot. We did something similar.
Very similar. Yeah, they took over a parking garage and put up, various props and set pieces and stuff. And then there were live actors pretending to be the characters from the show.
Nice.
And lots of flashing lights and smoke effects and stuff. And it was pretty neat.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can get into your show. Is it sold out?
I don't know. I don't think so. I should be getting the information this coming week, and then I'll probably blast it out on social media and whatnot. So
yes,
we will
keep an eye out for that. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
We would love another night out. It's good to get out of the house again.
I think it's supposed to be safe. They've done a couple of them, and then everyone says they're pretty well COVID safe. So I think everything's all right.
Now, speaking of Eddie Pence and stand-up comedy, I do also want to say that before the apocalypse, in the before times, as we like to say, you did record your very first 1 hour stand-up comedy special.
Mm-hmm.
I did.
Tell us a little bit about that.
It's something I'd always wanted to do, and I tried to go through the normal channels as a comedian. You want Comedy Central or HBO or Showtime or something to foot the bill and give you a special. Things weren't working out that way. I've performed on TV before. I've done sets on Comedy Central, and but things sort of change, and you don't get the opportunities you want to get. So at some point, you just have to be like, okay, if no one's going to give me the opportunity, I just have to go make the opportunity for myself. So
good for you.
Thank you. So I've been in comedy like 19 or 20 years, something like that. I was right around my 20-year mark, and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to go and do my own comedy special. I mean, I've had other friends do it, and I asked them about it, and they're like, yeah, it's not that hard. You should just do it, because no one's going to give it to you anymore. The way the big companies work, they're looking for, like, they don't care how funny you are. They don't care how long you've been doing it. They literally look at demographics, and they look at, like, do you fit in this age range? Do you fit in this demographic? Because this is what we can put out there and sell to. And that's just the reality of a lot of show businesses. They really focus on demographics. It's not so much the content. So I was like, screw it, I'll just make my own comedy special. And at the time I'd been about, I think I was co-hosting the Ralph Report for about a year at that point. And I really endeared myself, I think, to a lot of the Garmin, which is what Ralph Garman calls his fans. And they seemed very supportive of me. And I was like, you know what? I have these dates in DC, my hometown, in April 2018. I was like, you know what? I got to go back there anyway for 4 days. So let's see if I can raise enough money to hire some cameramen and a director and shoot it. And I put up a GoFundMe for 10 grand, thinking I'd only get 5, and I got 15.
Nice.
Yeah. So it worked out. I mean, we used every dime of that money, and I had to chip in some of my own money there at the end, but we got it done, and it's up on Amazon Prime now. If you're a Prime member, you can stream it for free. If not, you can buy it anywhere you buy videos.
It's on Amazon Prime. I mean, I feel like these days, at least within the continental United States, like anyone I know just seems to already have Amazon Prime. It just seems to be a way of life now. Yeah, I don't know.
Why would you? If you order anything on Amazon, why would you not have Prime? So you just get the free shit. It's like, makes no sense. Just have Prime.
It made sense so many years ago, and I think they must be charging me an annual renewal fee. I don't know. I don't even. Yeah, I
never see. I never get a notification I got renewed, so I don't even know what I pay. It could be $3,000. I have no idea.
It's one of the more evil companies that I'm beholden to. I'm conflicted about it on a daily basis, but now I get to watch the Eddie Pence Unspecial Comedy Special, which we watched the other day. We had some good laughs.
It was good.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thank you.
So everyone should go watch that. Do you mind if could we throw in just like a clip?
Please, yeah. Throw in a clip.
Let's take a quick preview of that right now.
The one thing that's always bothering me about Star Wars, though, I don't know if you guys ever noticed this too, but like every Jedi in Star Wars is a badass. There's not like one slacker Jedi in the whole galaxy. There's not like one C- Jedi that just sort of cheated off the Asian Jedi to get by. There's not like one of those, you know? There's got to be in that whole universe some Jedi is just kind of dumb. Just, hey, Master, how you turn your lightsaber? I love Han Solo. Like that one scene in Empire Strikes Back when he's getting ready to be lowered in the carbonite. Leia's in tears, and she finally blurts out, "I love you," and he goes, "I know." I couldn't even comprehend doing that to my wife. Laying there on my deathbed in the hospital, just. My wife's just bedside. Okay, don't die. I love you, and I'm like, I know. My wife would grab the defibrillator and go, "Oh no, you don't."
All right. Well, that was fun. So check that out on Amazon Prime. And, yeah, I mean, look, I know Eddie Pence because of the Ralph Report, the thing he was just talking about, which I should say before we get into WandaVision here, which we're going to do in a second. You can find the Ralph Report on whatever podcast app you're listening to us on. You can look for the Ralph Report. It will be there, about once a week. There's one free episode that's coming out. You should take a listen because it's awesome. It's fun. You'll learn things. You'll laugh. You'll find out what Eddie Pence does or doesn't eat. On a daily basis.
You won't learn much if you listen to me.
Oh, we learn things. We just learned something amazing about bologna, and your brother stuffed his mouth full of bologna and it was disgusting, and now you won't eat bologna anymore. We learn things.
You learn anything valuable from me. I should have put it that way. You learn nothing valuable from me.
But
Ralph
you will
has all the good information.
You will laugh. You will learn things. It's a great show. And you can then also find it on patreon.com, the Ralph Report. And then you can subscribe for what, $3 a month?
$3 a month is the lowest tier. I think it's $3, $5, $10, and $20 are the 4 tiers. And it's a great show. It's the best part about the show is the community. It's the people that listen to the show. It's literally like everyone is a part of the show. You're a part of the show as much as you want to be. You call in, you leave a message, you email. We have live shows every Saturday. We do a live stream sort of cocktail happy hour with anyone who wants to jump in. So we're doing one in, I think, like an hour and a half. So
there's one today fun. As we're recording this. Huh. Yeah, it's
so that's what makes that podcast different than most podcasts I've done before or have been a part of. It's that there's not only does he do 5 days a week, a new show every day, so it's like 15 cents a day for a new show. If you do the low tier, $3 a month, we literally have like it's almost a family. It's 5,000 subscribers, 6,000 subscribers, and it's almost like a family. It's really cool.
And I'm proud to be a part of it. It's a good family. It really is. So should we get nerdy now?
Yes. Let's be nerds.
We should get nerdy now.
I can see all your nerdy stuff on your...
Oh, I know. I got all my nerdy stuff behind me. And my Iron Mando shirt.
Oh, that's awesome.
Iron Mando.
I thought it said Iron Maiden. I couldn't see from here.
I know.
That's awesome.
Mando.
Yeah, so Eddie's a nerd. He's just as nerdy as we are, maybe more so, depending on the topic.
And depending on the topic, yeah.
And
yes, depending on the topic.
I know he makes time for certain TV shows. I know he's been watching WandaVision. I know he's current on it, which it just ended last week. So I thought, why don't we do a WandaVision episode? Why don't we talk to Eddie Pence? He'd be so fun to talk to.
So exciting.
Let's get nerdy. So I do want to start with a quick expose here. Not everyone on this call was in love with WandaVision from the first episode. So I want to start with you, Eddie. How did you feel those first couple episodes of WandaVision? It's just these very strange retro vignettes. What was on your mind when you saw that?
I loved it. That was why I loved it, because I'm a huge fan of old TV, the history of television and the old sitcoms, the Dick Van Dyke Show, Mary Tyler Moore, like everything they spoofed, I loved, and they did it so well. They spoofed like down to the writing and the jokes and the way they would overact for that style of acting, that era of acting. I mean, they nailed every nuance. They nailed, and I love that idea of like, we just came from Endgame and Spider-Man Far From Home, where we had, this humongous battle at the end of Endgame where like the entire third act is 1 hour and it's just a huge battle for an hour. And you see every Marvel hero, you see all that stuff. We had that. And then for them to take it from 11 and then go all the way back down to 1 and just sort of reset everybody with like, what is going on here? This is very weird. Where are you taking me? I love the fact that they did that. I love the fact that we had the pandemic and we were supposed to get Falcon Winter Soldier and like Black Widow and the Eternal, like all this other stuff was supposed to predate all of, WandaVision. Like WandaVision wasn't supposed to be the first thing to come out, and it ended up being because of the pandemic. And I think it was perfect the way it sort of just slowed everything down to go into phase 4. I loved it.
So, babe, what did you think of the first couple episodes of WandaVision? Be honest. No one's gonna throw things at you.
I won't get mad.
I'm not a fan. I am a fan now. I was not a fan because I don't like Wanda. Well, because she's so.
You like her at the end of this? After her arc on this, did you like her more? Or
no, I definitely like her more now. Yeah, definitely like her more. But I just felt like the whole witchcraft type of thing wasn't fitting in. I didn't read the comics and stuff like that, so I wasn't like I didn't have that knowledge. And plus, it was so long ago. Like I feel like that was 10 years ago that all of that ended. And I don't have a great memory.
That's true. I can vouch
so
for that.
I have to like really ask Jeff a lot of questions.
Yeah.
But then here it comes, and she's in this whole old timey type of. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? don't get it.
In the comic books, and I think it was House of M.
House of M. I have notes on that.
House of M, right? She basically, you realize that she's the most powerful thing that's ever, like she creates this entire alternate reality where I think she kills all the mutants at one point. I'm trying to remember the comic book, but she basically does something on a much larger scale than what she did in WandaVision, where, this one, she has created this little town and basically built her own reality out of it. There, she altered all of reality.
Wow.
So she's super powerful, and I love the way that they sort of like spoon-fed us into how powerful she's going to become, because you get a sense of that at Endgame when she's like basically taking out Thanos, and if they don't rain fire, she's killing Thanos right there. So you get a hint of how powerful she can become, and she doesn't even know how powerful she is yet. And then you take this slow journey through all these, through WandaVision, and you realize, oh my God, she's next level powerful.
I had no idea that she was that powerful. And plus, Vision never does anything, I'm like, why are you so important? You never do anything to help. You're just a hindrance.
He killed the last Ultron. Remember?
I don't remember.
He took out, there was one Ultron left, and he used the Mind Stone to kill the last Ultron. So he earned his paycheck.
All right. Well, you say so.
I agree. For someone made of vibranium with one of the stones, Infinity Gems.
He should be much more powerful than what he was portrayed in the films.
He's just this gentle little bunny rabbit.
Yeah. Which I think is why he was sort of, I think in Infinity War, that's why they damaged him with that spear through him, and he was sort of laid out the whole both movies, basically, or all of Infinity War, because he could be that powerful, because he does have an Infinity Stone in his head, and he could just wipe out most of the people. So I think that's why they sort of like injured him at the beginning and just then killed him at the end, because he could have been the guy that saved everything.
Yeah, then they wouldn't make a movie.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So you have to take out the most powerful person, and then you can have the other guys trying to beat the, Thanos.
Right. Okay. Well, yes, I do like her much better now. I just thought that she was so goofy with the way she does her witchcraft with her hands and all of that. Before.
I think that was neat. I've always liked that.
I know. You like dark women.
I like dark women. I like women that can do neat things with their hands. I mean,
right?
Eddie knows what I'm talking about.
I like her more now. And
I mean, I always liked her in the movies, but this one, she's like, she won me over big time.
And I do agree. The way they did the filming and the acting and everything, you're right. It was very I Love Lucy and perfect.
Yeah. She really proved herself as an actress.
Disney Plus just released the making of WandaVision, I think yesterday or 2 nights ago.
And you watched
like an hour-long. Yeah, it's an hour-long documentary that just came out about how they made everything, and basically how they went through and they actually sat down with Dick Van Dyke to talk to him about how it was done back then. And they actually did. I didn't even know this. While they were filming the sitcom stuff, they had a live studio audience in there to get the real feel of a sitcom.
Neat.
So
I think just for the first episode, or maybe the first two, but
yeah. It was, it's really interesting what they did. And, and then you see like the whole thing, okay, they're paying homage to all these sitcoms going through. And then you get to that point, I forgot what episode it was, like 6 or 7, where you see Wanda go to the foundation of the house before she loses her mind and creates the hex. And she opens up that deed that says to grow old in, there's a heart around it V. And then you realize, oh, she went through all these decades because that was her growing old with vision. Like she did all this stuff so she could feel like she's lived a lifetime with vision.
Aww.
I mean, that's so cool. Like the way they drop these little things in, like in episode 7 or 8 or whatever it was, they just let you know, like, okay, this isn't just random stuff. We didn't just do that. We did this to pay homage to television, but it's also part of the storytelling device of, like, you know what, you see her as a little girl, and that's how she pictured a happy family because she didn't have a family. So it was these sitcom families was her, picture of a perfect world. And then to grow old with vision, going through the different decades of the different sitcoms, you're like, oh my God, there's so many levels to this miniseries, and it was so good. When I saw her open that and like, do grow old with, I'm like, oh, that's why we went from the 50s to the 2000s in sitcoms, is because she wanted to grow old with vision.
Did you get that right when she opened up that map?
Yes, I was like, wow. My mind exploded. I'm like, that's why. Because I was like, okay, are they just doing this just to have fun and go through the different sitcoms and have a good time? Like, how are they going to tie this into being something that was really important to us, as a storytelling element? And then when that happened, I'm like, oh wow, this was her journey. This was her growing old with vision, which she was going through these different decades with vision. So that's, just blew my mind. That's when I was like, this show is like the most next level thing I've ever watched.
Yeah, I didn't get all of that. I mean, I get it now, but whilst watching it, I was just kind of like, okay.
I didn't get that either. I was just like, aw. And then part of the super pragmatic part of my brain was like, wow, Vision thought to invest in real estate. And where did he get money? And maybe he has access to Tony Stark's bank account.
He is part Tony Stark.
Yeah. But there was an awe moment too. It wasn't all, I can be emotional sometimes.
Yeah.
No, it had the right amount to me of heart, and it had that right amount I mean, we started out really slow, and I know like some people didn't like how slow it started and where it went, but then you end it. The last episode is just a Marvel CGI fight. So you get everything in 9 episodes or whatever it was.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the episodes just a little bit. I think the first few are pretty quick to go by. I tried to dig in. I was Googling around for like WandaVision Easter eggs. Yeah. And I quickly got overwhelmed because like
there's a lot in there.
Everything. Like anytime there is any number on the screen anywhere, like there was one on the side of a helicopter, license plates, the hotel, the hospital room number that Monica wakes up in. People are connecting those numbers to anything and everything in the Marvel universe. And
I think one had Stan Lee's birthday on it or something like that.
I mean, and that, like that's a good tribute because now Stan Lee's in another thing, right? And I don't know what's true and what's not. I mean, sometimes it just feels like we're grasping for things. I'm going to give you an example. So that the guy in town with the mustache, that kind of goofy, he had like the big nose and the mustache. His name was his name Phil?
I forget. Yes. He's the one who had the funny line, and she's like, his wife comes in and is like, do I look fat in this? And then the power goes out. He's like, thank you.
That's right. Okay, so I got to hear. His name was Phil Jones.
Okay.
But he became Phil Jones when Jimmy Woo was doing his FBI stuff. His real name was Harold Proctor. Okay.
Yeah.
So his name was just Phil Jones. Common name, as basic as it gets, right?
Right.
But other people are saying that this is a reference to a character named Phil Jones in the comic books who was not a superhero. He was not a powerful dude, but he was married to a superhero sorceress named Arcana, who doesn't actually exist because she's in a different Earth 712.
Oh, okay.
Is that their address?
Oh, that's a great question.
It's the area code. It's the area code.
I don't know. And so, like, on one hand, this could be a reference. We know the multiverse is coming because Doctor Strange is going to introduce all that shit, right?
Yes.
So we know the multiverse is coming. It's possible. But this guy wasn't even Phil Jones. He was someone else that was made into Phil Jones. So is it even an Easter egg? Is it a reference to that guy?
It looks like the same thing as what they did with Pietro. I mean, that was, his name was a Boner joke, right? It was Ralph Boner was the guy's name. Really, even Pietro or Peter Maximoff. So are they, I don't know. I think these are just sort of things that they throw in just to try to, I think half their Easter eggs are there to just sort of throw people off and just, wild goose chases, red herring type things.
It's gotta be. It's gotta be. Not all of these things could be references, right?
No, I don't think. I think a lot of them are just some of the writers just throw it in just to like, hey, let's do this just to see what we can get the internet. Because I mean, the more internet buzz you get going, the more people watch the show. I mean, why would you not throw in
Very true.
Useless Easter eggs all the time. I mean, there was enough in there that I think do lead to something. I mean, there was enough Fantastic Four Easter eggs dropped in there to, sort of pave the way for what's going to, when they're eventually enter into the MCU. I think a lot of people hated what they did with the Quicksilver boner joke, but it was sort of like, it seemed to me that was Kevin Feige going, hey, we're not bringing these guys in. We're making our own X-Men. We're not bringing in the other X-Men, which I was fine with. I think that was great, because I was excited too when I saw the door open up. And I'm like, that's Quicksilver from the X-Men movies.
It was mind blowing. Like how
how are they going to do this?
Right.
But then you realize, okay, that's not what the show's about. So it's just,
But it may be opening the door to the multi. Oh, here's the other one. After I wrote this one down, I was like, I'm done with the crazy references. So Herb, the neighbor, he was the black guy, very nice cat neighborhood watch guy. There is a character named Herbert in the Marvel Comics who is also known as the High Evolutionary, and he is a powerful dude, and he at some point gets the Soul Stone, gives that to Adam Warlock, and Adam Warlock wears the Soul Stone on his forehead, just like Vision wears the Mind Stone on his forehead, so it's all connected. That's Herb right there.
Yeah, I thought for the first couple episodes Herbert was I suspected maybe he's Mephisto, or he has something to do with Agatha or Agnes at the time, because they were always seen together and they seemed to communicate a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I thought maybe there's going to be something with him, and then obviously there was nothing. And I think him just being named Herbert is just another one of those wild goose chases.
Just a name, right?
Yeah, it's just a name. It's just a name.
Okay, did you, Eddie, get anything from Agnes in those first couple episodes? Because I've seen articles that were like, oh, we think Agnes might be Agatha Harkness. I don't know how anyone came to that conclusion from those first 2 or 3 episodes.
I thought that because it was Catherine Hahn. It was such a name, and everyone else was sort of like, no people you didn't recognize. They weren't super famous people. Catherine Hahn was like, she keeps showing up in every episode, and she's a prominent role. I mean, she has to have some sort of bigger part. And then Agatha, I was like, my buddy and I, Jerry Rocha, we do the Ramble together. We were like, every week we were like spitting out like theories about it on our podcast, and that's the one we sort of, after the first week, we're like, we think she might be Agnes, but we always thought she was working with Mephisto, and Mephisto would be the big reveal at the end, and she was going to be a bit player. I wasn't expecting her to be the main bad person in the series, but we kind of suspected after the first episode that Agnes was going to be Agatha, just for the fact of the name being so close and it being Catherine Hahn.
Wow.
But I mean, other than that, and then after like 2 or 3 episodes, you get to see where she's like, especially that one episode where she breaks and she's like, should we start over? Should we do that again? And you're like, okay, well, she's obviously not controlled. She's aware of what's happening. So she's not under mind control like everybody else, because Vision didn't touch her head and take her out of it. So she seemed to be in control there.
Mm-hmm.
I will say, from the people that pause the show every 5 seconds to look at the background stuff, in episode 2, there was, like, in the opening credits, which was that Bewitched style, which incidentally amazing. There was an anti-A's kitty litter in the grocery store.
Oh, there was? I didn't even see that.
And that one I thought was kind of noteworthy, because there's a black cat, and Agatha Harkness in the comic books has a black cat, not a bunny rabbit. And I guess she's called Aunt Agatha sometimes by Wanda, because they're actually close in the comic books.
Well, in the comic books, she goes back between being good and bad. I mean, she's not just a bad witch in the comic books.
Although she's also an old lady. Not Catherine Hahn-esque in any way. So, I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of references, but I think we should talk about maybe the larger plot, right? Like, I have questions.
Okay.
So we know, Wanda was in grief. She made the hex. And all this happens after Endgame, right?
Uh-huh.
I mean, it has to be quite a ways after Endgame. So Monica comes back in the hospital. You and I were having a conversation about this just before we started recording. Monica comes back in the hospital because the Hulk had snapped his fingers.
It was like in they showed it in Far From Home with Spider-Man when people came back from the snap.
That's right.
Or the blip, or they called it.
Right. So mass chaos erupts, which also means that while Monica is trying to get her bearings on what happened to her mom, shit is going down in upstate New York.
Yes. Yes. All that's happening right then and there. Yes.
So we don't really know how much time passed, though, do we?
I thought it was 5 years, they said.
Well, sorry, 5 years from snap to snap, but then from the point where people come back to the point where WandaVision starts.
I think it's fairly close because, I mean, you see that one scene later on in the series where Wanda is like, she wants to bury Vision. She needs the closure.
That's true.
So I would assume it had to happen, maybe a month or two after. It can't be too far after the end of Endgame, I don't think.
Yeah, I was thinking somewhere in like weeks to a month, something like that.
Yeah, I was somewhere around there.
Which also gave Monica time to grieve her mom.
Yeah, and get back into work and all that stuff.
That was a shock to come back to. Your mom's been dead for 3
years.
Right? Okay, so timeline. So Wanda's in grief. She just saw Vision's body. Turns out she didn't steal the body. That was an important reveal at the end.
Yes. And
she goes and creates the new Westview. I guess my big question is this. We know Agatha was doing shit behind the scenes, but I don't think we got any explanation of why Agatha was there to begin with, did we?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I think at the end she said she felt the presence of this powerful thing happening. So she was drawn to it.
Okay. Did she say that?
I think when she had Wanda in the basement there, I think she said she was drawn to whatever had happened because she wanted to know what was going on.
Mm-hmm. She wanted some of that power.
Right. And then she realized it was witchcraft or a hex or whatever. So she wanted to learn who is this witch doing this? I thought I knew all the powerful stuff because I've been around for 4 centuries.
And so it never actually affected her. So she was just playing along the whole time.
How did she get in?
I mean, the thing is, she seems genuinely confused at certain points, doesn't she? I mean, maybe she's just acting, but
you mean as Agnes or Agnes?
As Agnes, she seems genuinely confused. Like the part where she's like, "Do you want to take that again?" Like that kind of stuff was like, there's something weird about her.
She's talking to her neighbor when Vision comes out and he's trying to figure out what's going on with Wanda. And she's like, don't tell him. You know, because
that's
Herb's
why I was sort of like, I was like, oh, is Herbert involved with this? That was the scene where I was like, is Herbert really involved with this? But yeah.
Right. So he seemed like he wasn't fully under mind control either.
Right.
He knew.
And they were gossiping about Monica, whatever her name was in the show.
But unless that was just Agatha's way of like, maybe because Agatha is powerful enough, maybe she took Herbert out of the mind control there to sort of send Vision on this quest to figure out what was really happening in order to start the chain of the chain reaction of events that were to occur was to get Vision to try to leave the hex. So maybe that was all part of her plan to begin with, was to sort of plant these seeds all along for Vision to question what is this reality and what's going on here. So, so everything can finally erupt into what it does.
Was there anything in it for her if Vision did leave the hex? Because I feel like since he's not real, she could have handled him.
Well, I think it's just maybe to the point where to make Wanda unstable, to get her to fight.
Right. She needed her.
Agatha. So she could absorb power. Because that's Agatha's whole thing, is to absorb the power.
Okay. So we got.
So that's the only thing I can think is why some of those scenes were in there and Agatha was playing along the whole time, was to sort of like prod this to its conclusion of where it needed to go to get the Scarlet Witch to finally realize her potential and then zap Agatha with her power so Agatha could absorb it.
But if Vision wasn't real, how was he fighting other real Vision?
What do you mean?
Well,
I mean the Hex Vision?
He was real as long as he was in the Hex.
In the Hex he was real.
I say with a pained grimace.
Right.
The Mind Stone. So the Mind Stone wasn't real, but it seemed like effectively, like he could still blast energy out of it.
Yeah.
So like that's how powerful Wanda is, I guess, right? Like she can even make replica stones.
Yeah, she can.
And how do you have babies with that?
I don't know. I mean, Wanda can create whatever reality she wants. She's that powerful. She can change it to whatever she wants. But the kids at the end, you see that at the end when she's looking at the Death Hold book and you hear the kids screaming. So you don't know what, I mean, did she shuttle, when that door shut in the bedroom, did she take those kids and shuttle them into some other multiverse? And that's how we're getting into Doctor Strange, and then she's going after them, and she's going to open up the Nexus to try to get her kids back because she sent them there to save them or something. I don't know. There's so many questions.
So I started diving into this stuff because I'm not a comics reader either. I love all this stuff. I never got into comics as a kid, and I don't have time for it now. But as soon as those kids showed up in the show, I started Googling around, and I have notes on that. So Tommy and Billy really exist in the comic books. Yes. And they are supposed to be kids of Wanda and Vision, except they're not. Wanda actually fabricated them.
Yes.
In the comics too. Yes. And she
they stayed true to that pretty much.
And you mentioned this name earlier. In the comics, she fabricated them out of pieces of the soul of Mephisto.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the name Mephisto earlier.
Yes.
So it does seem like we're heading down a Mephisto road. Do you know anything about comics Mephisto, Eddie? Because I don't know a whole lot.
I mean, he's a pretty big bad guy. I know that I'm pretty sure that he's going to be present in Doctor Strange 2. I'm pretty sure because him and Doctor Strange have some history. Oh. So I would assume that when they open up the Nexus and they go into a multiverse, Mephisto's going to be involved somehow. So I don't know exactly. I don't know all the particulars. I didn't read a ton of Doctor Strange when I was a kid. I kind of focused on X-Men and Spider-Man and Avengers a little bit. But I mean, he's like a main bad. He's not like Thanos level or Doctor Doom level bad guy, but he was more powerful than Agnes. Or Agatha.
Actually, what little I read about Mephisto indicated that he could be as powerful or worse than Thanos. Like he could be the next MCU big bad.
They never focused on him in the comics as a Thanos level villain.
That could be where we're going, though. I mean, it just seems like for all the time they put into this show, there are a number of hints to Mephisto, not the least of which is like Agatha has some kind of connections to him too.
He could be set up as. I've been trying to figure out who the Phase 4 bad guy is going to be. This one kind of leaves you thinking maybe it might be Scarlet Witch. Maybe she's going to be going back and forth between. We don't know. She could be the bad guy. Maybe it will be Mephisto. I don't know. We're going to multiverse, and we start playing with time at the end of Endgame. So, are you going to activate Kang? Is he going to come involved? Is he going to get involved somehow because he's the time traveler? I mean, there's so many different ways we could go here with a main bad guy.
They love time travel.
They do.
I have real problems with time travel shit.
Yeah.
Anyone that's been listening to this show for any amount of time knows I have issues when time travel starts happening. It hurts my brain. I'm too logical for it.
You just gotta let it go. Right. When you're watching time travel, you're like, okay, you can't. You just have okay. These are the rules for this movie's time travel. Let's just go with that.
I really try. But we just finished covering. We went episode by episode deep dives into the Watchmen show. Have you seen that one?
That's a great series.
You watched the show, or we're just talking about the comic?
The HBO show.
You did watch it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So he could get as far as Game of Thrones. He just hasn't. All right.
Well, again, I watched that when it came out. I watched every episode as it came out.
So we did a deep dive on that, but just the time stuff with Dr. Manhattan just fucked me up. I couldn't handle it. I was enraged by this. He
spends a lot of the time on our podcast trying to analyze time.
Hating time travel.
Right.
Oh, it just hurts me so much. It just hurts me.
I prefer there not to be time travel. Like when I found out Endgame was going to be a time travel movie, I'm like, okay, I understand kind of why they did it, so you can sort of pay homage to all the films before and do all that stuff. I'm like, I'm not big into time travel. To me, it's like doing voiceover. It's just a crutch for storytelling because you can't write your way out of whatever situation you got your way into. You're like, time travel. So I'd prefer not time travel, but I can sit there and click that part of my brain off and go, okay, these are your guys' constructs for time travel. Let's just deal with that. I'll buy into whatever you're telling me.
Right. You just have to let it go.
You just have to let it go.
I try. I know it doesn't seem like it, but I try. Okay, what else do we have? What are other questions? How about Senor Scratchy?
The dog?
The bunny rabbit.
Oh yeah, her bunny rabbit.
So he doesn't. Nothing ever happens with him. But I as I was reading about Agatha, do you know where I'm going with this, Eddie?
No.
She has a son in the comic books named Nicholas Scratch.
Huh.
He is an evil wizard.
Oh, you think it's the bunny rabbit?
Maybe he was
transmogrified. Shapeshift.
What was that?
Witches do shapeshift.
Oh yeah. Sure, why not? I mean, he could be a wizard all along, and maybe he's going to break Agatha out of her being imprisoned.
We're not done with Agatha. I think we're definitely going to see her again. I don't know if Wanda may go back there, but I don't think she's going to be the one to set him free. It may be
Senor Scratchy.
Agatha's son. Yeah, Senor Scratchy.
That would be awesome if he just transforms one day into a human. But apparently, and this is where I get really excited, Nicholas Scratch is, I guess, big. He's a big rival of the Fantastic Four, which is fine.
Oh,
but also, specifically, they mention in his Wikipedia article that he is also a rival of Patsy Walker.
Patsy Walker.
Anyone?
Patsy Walker.
No? Okay. So she also goes by Hellcat, but we know her if we watched the Netflix Marvel shows. She was Jessica Jones's best friend.
Yeah.
The radio host who then got powers, at the very end of the series, right? So that's cool because there's been some talk.
They did a good job. They did a good job in WandaVision of tying in those TV shows, the Marvel TV shows. I mean, this connected obviously to the movies, but they did a good job. I mean, showing the Death Hold there. I mean, that's pulling in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's pulling in, it pulls in a lot of those MCU TV shows, which was cool.
Yeah. And if we could also then expand that into the Netflix, I mean, I just think that would be great. I miss those shows. I mean, Iron Fist wasn't.
I mean, Daredevil was great and Punisher was great. The other ones I didn't really love, but I love Daredevil and Punisher.
I love Luke Cage.
That's the one I didn't see. I watched Luke Cage when he was in when he was in the when they did the Defenders, but I didn't watch his series.
Luke Cage gives me funny feelings deep down inside.
Are you attracted to him too?
We've talked about this.
He's attractive.
We've talked about this at length. I don't want to fuck him. I just want him to snuggle me. I want to be the little spoon.
Spoon him.
He just looks so big and warm.
Keep you safe. He'll keep you safe at night.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Who doesn't want that? Guys want that too sometimes.
I want that.
Wow. Shots fired.
Wow. Ouch. Guess I better start lifting weights. I've got a long ways to go, though.
Get some impenetrable skin.
Okay, let's see. We talked about Tommy and Billy, Agatha, good stuff there. The House of M, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
That is something that people are drawing a lot of references to, even though there's not necessarily a direct connection to the comics. But
there's not a direct connection. It's just her creating an alternate reality where people are existing. It's sort of like they kind of took that, I guess.
I have questions about, when Agatha actually does reveal herself and then it's all about Agatha.
Yeah.
At that point, I was like, well, is Agatha actually running this show? Is she controlling Wanda? But clearly she wasn't.
That's what I thought too. I was like, okay, she's the one who convinced, Wanda to start all this and sort of like, I thought that exact same thing too. Like, oh, Agatha's been doing this whole thing. She created all this. This is just her way to try to get the power or whatever. Mm-hmm. But then, she reveals later on the next episode that she was just drawn to whatever happened and she wants to figure out why.
Yeah, that was kind of weird because they were doing some vague allusions to the guy in the office when he got zapped by Vision and he started freaking out. Like, he never said anyone's name. He just kept saying, like, she's in my head. It hurts. Please stop her. You got to get her out of my head. So it could have been Agatha.
Could have been, right?
That was a weird reveal. Like,
they left it ambiguous up to that point.
Uh-huh. And then they said it's Agatha all along, but what was Agatha all along? I guess that would be my question.
But I think that was just propelling Wanda through to that point of being unstable and finally erupting at the end. I think that was her all along, was planting all these seeds to sort of.
That's fair.
I kind of thought at some point that maybe it was all Agatha and Wanda put up this field to control, subconsciously to control the damage, but
to protect the world from Agatha.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been interesting. And that's how it ended.
Right.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, if you were thinking that all along, it came true. So good job. Yeah. You should write.
Well, thank
you. So the ending, how did you guys feel about the runes on the force field kind of thing? That one struck me as a little funny. Like, it wasn't the best way to defeat her, I guess.
I liked it.
I liked it. To me, it was that. I mean, that was just classic, like, superhero reveal, on your left sort of thing, like from Endgame. It's like, it was sort of that big moment of like the big moment of the reveal of like, oh, this is how the good guy's going to win because you thought they were beaten. And I thought it was done well. I mean, I don't think I would have wanted it to happen any other way because you realize, oh yeah, she did learn that from Agatha, and the whole thing about Scarlet Witch was she didn't have enough power, she just didn't have the knowledge, but it shows that she's learning, and once she learns a little bit, she's going to be unbeatable. Gosh, right. And so it sort of fed into that whole thing of like, she just needs to gain knowledge, and that's what she was doing.
And Agatha will eventually be her mentor. You're right. You're totally right.
So, I mean, it worked. It seemed like a cheesy, big time movie, blockbuster sort of ending for a series, but it played into the story they were telling of like, Scarlet Witch just needs to learn how to be this witch.
Right.
She has the power, and she's learning all the time. And then you see her at the end with the Death Hold in her astral form. She's learning constantly, so she's going to be unbeatable.
Yeah, that was a little freaky.
Yeah.
Her sitting out on the porch drinking tea, and then inside she's actually learning.
Yeah. That was so cool. That's what
Speed
I need.
reading.
That's what I need.
Right?
That would be the perfect solution to my ADD issues, is if I could actually do two things at once.
I had such good grades in college if I could do that.
Yeah.
I'd have more money. I could send my astral plane to a regular job and make money, and I could sit here and do podcasts.
Right. Go work at McDonald's.
Right.
And podcast.
Okay. Babe, you're always looking for that next big gig. You're looking to be entrepreneurial. You're trying to figure out what you want to do. Study magic.
Right. I just need to become a
There you go.
witch.
Just learn how to separate your astral plane from your real body.
I'm going to do it.
I dated a witch briefly in college. She couldn't do
Really?
that I know of. But she wouldn't let me see her do any of her like magic spells or rituals or whatever. That was private time.
She wouldn't let you see it?
No observers allowed. It's very disappointing. It's probably why we broke up.
This sounds like bullshit.
Yeah.
She said she was a witch and she had a nose piercing.
Oh, okay. Well, you got to take her on that.
I know, right? I mean,
Back in those days.
I found it believable. She had a lot of incense.
Now there are witches everywhere.
Let's see what else. Monica, can we talk about her? She's a big
Monica
character.
Rambeau.
She apparently
Photon.
very powerful.
Photon, yeah.
Yeah. So she gained her power when?
She went into the hex the first time and it sort of altered her. And then that second time when she went back through, I guess that's what finally just switched everything and completely altered her DNA and gave her the power of Photon.
What is the power of Photon?
I think she can. Well, Photon is a character in the. You probably recognize her if you Google image her because she's a pretty iconic looking superhero. She was one of the Avengers. I think at one point in the comics she becomes Captain Marvel for a little while.
Of course,
she's pretty powerful. She can absorb energy or whatever energy is around. That's why when you saw her and she could see that Wanda's. When you saw her POV, you could see Wanda's magic power, and then when she opened up the basement, she was looking in. And you saw the purple magic of Agatha, and then when Pietro startled and she turned around, her eyes were purple because she was absorbing that power. And then I think when the bullets hit her, her eyes turned yellow from like the fire blast.
Yeah, so I want to know what that was.
She absorbs the energy. I don't know if she obviously hasn't learned to expel it, but she can absorb
like absorbing the kinetic energy of the bullets or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's pretty powerful.
I looked into her. I actually had her down as Spectrum, not Photon. But
maybe it's Spectrum?
Could be wrong.
I think it was Photon. I forget. It's been a while since I've read Avengers comics.
That's okay.
I think maybe it might be Spectrum.
But then I tried to copy paste a list of her powers, and it's fucking nuts. Transform herself into any form of energy within the electromagnetic spectrum, blah, blah, blah. And then she can change her appearance to look like anybody. She can fly. She has superhuman speed. She can become intangible, invisible. Yeah, she can duplicate energy, absorb energy. Eddie's showing us a picture right now over the call.
Of Photon.
Oh, okay. Well, that does look like her. No question.
So, but yeah, I don't know what powers they're going to give her in the MCU, but I know in the comic book she was crazy powerful.
It appears that she's going to be crazy powerful. So the MCU is like stepping through. We started with Iron Man, who's basically Batman, except he doesn't mind blowing shit up or killing people or something. I don't know.
Well, Batman doesn't either.
Well,
no, not in the
movies.
He'll kill in the movies. He doesn't give a shit.
How long can we sustain this? If we keep upping the power levels, how far does it go? I mean, we've got Wanda's god, and then Spectrum might be a god too.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like we're going into, now we're going in with the Eternals and stuff like that. We're going into like the whole cosmic realm of Marvel. We're leaving planet Earth and going into like, the cosmic stuff with like, Thanos was one of I think he was a son of one of the Eternals or something like that. So it's like you're going in like these super powerful beings of, Galactus proportions where they're just, I don't know where they're going to go. At some point they're it's got to stop. I mean, you can't keep going forever. But
remember that one Fantastic Four movie where Galactus showed up, but instead of being a giant pink thing, he was
like a big cloud or whatever
cloud.
He was. Dumb.
I mean, I don't know. The gas cloud didn't look very menacing, but on the other hand, would a giant pink and purple
that eats planets?
Planets.
I don't know how you make Galactus cinematic, though. If anybody can do it, Kevin Feige and the MCU can make it work.
Figure out a way.
They'll figure out a way.
So the Eternals are one of the things that's coming up soon. Do we know anything about them? I don't.
I didn't. Like I said, I know the comic books just sort of did a reboot with the Eternals a couple years ago when they announced the movie. I think to make it more understandable for people that want to read it and understand who the Eternals were. I didn't read the Eternals, so I don't really know. I just know that there was, I think they broke into a couple different parts where it's like these creatures that have been around forever, and I think Thanos is related to one of them, is like a half son or something like that. I forget. Like I said, I don't want to speak about them because I don't know a lot about them, but they've been around eternally. I don't know. They've been around forever,
and of course they're hanging out on Earth because
why not?
Yeah, we have the best theme parks.
Of course.
That always strikes me as funny in a lot of these science fiction shows, like Doctor Who, for instance. Like, I know Doctor Who, like the Doctor kind of falls in love with Earth, but still, all these massive cataclysmic universe-changing events
happen on Earth.
They always happen on Earth. That's always tickled me.
Well, where else? I mean, that's all we know.
Right.
Well, I know that's all we know, but
we have the best fast food.
Boy, do we ever.
One of the other things that bothered me.
Yes.
Vision, I kept saying Vision can't have feelings because he's
a robot.
He's a robot, right?
Right.
I mean, I know he's advanced and he's part.
What did I throw right back at you when you said that, though?
I don't know.
I said you have forgotten your Westworld.
True.
I mean, the whole lesson of Westworld is that you can program an AI to the point where it starts teaching itself, and then it either goes Skynet and tries to kill us, or it develops emotions and can love and be loved.
And he also had that vision that we knew from the movies Age of Ultron and Wanda's memory of him that she created in WandaVision had the Mind Stone. So we don't know if the Mind Stone gave him some sort of way, some sort of empathy or some sort of way to fall in love. And maybe that's why this new vision or cataract or whatever they're calling him doesn't have the Mind Stone. So maybe he doesn't have the ability to feel or fall in love, and maybe that's why he just bolted as soon as he got all of his memories back.
I'm sorry, is Cataract his canonical name, or is that what just people are calling him?
I think that was the name I think they called him in when they were looking at the blueprint when I think when Jimmy Woo was looking at the blueprint of what and figured out that the sword guy was trying to rebuild Vision, and I think it said Project Cataract on it.
That's funny.
So I don't think he's called Cataract in the comics. I think he's just White Vision. But
okay.
He's Project Cataract.
Will White Vision fall in love with Wanda? How about that? Is that in our future?
I mean, I think if Scarlet Witch is going to play a big part in Phase 4 and they brought Vision back, I think they're going to have some sort of interaction, whether they fall in love again or is this a completely different Vision because it's it's the same body and the same memories, but it's not necessarily the same personality because that's individual and you can't program if you're taking a whole thing of like, nature versus nurture and you don't know how society, the outside world affects internally and then what you put back out and that whole symbiotic relationship with the world, everybody's personality develops differently. That's why if you clone somebody, they're not necessarily the same person, even though they have the same DNA, their same physical DNA. If you clone a dog, you're not going to get your same dog back. You're just getting a dog with the same DNA as your previous dog. So
looks just like your dog.
It looks like your dog, but it might not act like your dog because I have a different personality. So is this Vision's an actual replication of the original Vision, or is this just a Vision's old body, Vision's old memories, but a new personality to go with it? I don't know. But I'm sure he's going to play some sort of part in the future, or otherwise why you bring him back.
We'll definitely see him again. So that's exciting.
Yeah. When Wanda turned around and saw Vision in that one episode where he was dead and he had the Mind Stone pulled out, scary looking, that made me also think, is that really what he looks like walking? And she's just like,
I know, I thought that too.
I thought that was Vision. I thought she had reanimated Vision's old body.
Right.
Because at that point in the series, we thought she had stolen the parts and made Vision, and this was Vision's actual body, and this was just her image of him overlaid on top of the dead Vision body, and that was just, she had that break where you saw the actual real dead Vision. But I guess that was maybe her memory coming through.
Yeah.
Right.
I think they were intentionally messing with us, though, because we were supposed to believe that she stole his body. But no.
Right.
Yeah.
They messed with us the whole 9 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
They did. And I found it brilliant. And you, babe, you got turned around, did you?
Right. About halfway through, I started coming around.
Nice.
I think I just got over it, you know?
I like getting messed with. That's what I like about it, is because you watch these things, they have all these Easter eggs, and you don't know which ones are the real ones or which ones are supposed to be the red herring or the false flag or whatever. And you come up with all these theories, and then you watch a show and none of your theories come through. And you're like, I don't get mad at that. I'm one of the people that doesn't get mad at that. I get excited about it. I'm like, wow, they outthought me. They put these things there to fool me, and then they outthought me. So I enjoy being fooled when it comes to my dumb theories that I think of.
We've been down that road many a time, though, haven't we?
All
through the Game of Thrones years, even through the Westworld years, all these different shows we
Watchmen,
cover.
everything. Yeah.
We always try to make guesses.
Right. And I would be so pissed if I guessed everything from episode 2 on, and that's how it turns out. I'm like,
I guessed the end of Game of Thrones, and I was...
Oh, you did?
I did.
Yeah, we're not going to spoil it for you, Eddie, but...
Yeah. I mean, I didn't guess the exact way it happened, but I guessed, the dynamics of what was going to happen.
Were you guys fans of the way it ended?
No.
It was
a letdown.
It was a letdown. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't grotesque. It wasn't like the worst thing that's ever been created, like some people say. And look, we're Game of Thrones fans. This is Pod of Thrones. But it was it really took the wind out of our sails.
Right.
Yeah.
All right.
We only watched the last season once, while all the other seasons we watched
on a loop
3 or 4 times.
4 times, yeah.
Right.
So I want to wrap this up by asking you one more thing, Eddie.
Yeah.
You mentioned it again early in this episode, and it comes out next Friday. Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yes.
What can we expect? What does your inner nerd tell you is gonna be coming?
I don't know where this is going or what this is going to tie into, because I know this was originally slated to be before WandaVision. So I don't know if this has, because the pandemic canceled. This was supposed to come out, I think, last August, and then I think we're supposed to get Black Widow last May, Falcon Winter Soldier I think last August, and then Eternals last November, and then WandaVision, and then WandaVision was supposed to go straight into Doctor Strange 2. But all that got scrapped because of COVID. So I don't know what their plan is, and I don't know how much was done prior to WandaVision, or if this was shot after WandaVision or during WandaVision. So I don't know if it's going to tie in to that at all, or is this a completely separate thing? Knowing Marvel, everything leads to the next thing, so I can't imagine it not sort of at some point feeding into whatever happened at Westview in some way. But I got nothing going into this. At least WandaVision, I knew going into WandaVision, they're probably doing something with House of M where she's created an alternate reality because she's in grief over Vision, and this is going to lead. And they said that's leading directly into Doctor Strange 2. So I'm like, okay, she's probably done something where she's torn a hole in the fabric of reality, and we're going to open up the multiverse. So I had an idea going into WandaVision what that was going to be about. Falcon Winter Soldier, I know they're going to have. It looks like they're going to introduce the new Captain America, where they want it to be Sam because that's who Steve Rogers handed the shield to. But it looks like they're going to follow that old storyline in the comic books when Steve Rogers stopped being Captain America and they brought in the other guy, and then he eventually wore the black Captain America suit. That's what Steve Rogers wore, the black Captain America suit. And then he became Captain America again, and then the guy that was the replacement Captain America became, I think, U.S. agent. And he wore the black Captain America suit. So I think they're introducing that character in some way, shape, or form, where Sam was the guy that they handed the shield to, but the government has a different idea and they want this other person to be Captain America. I think that's what's happening. I'm not sure.
I am not familiar with that plot line. So, but you're saying that whoever that person is obviously not Sam, but also he's not Bucky?
It's not Bucky. No, there's a third person that I know Kevin Feige introduced at Comic-Con 2 years ago when they introduced all these slated shows. He's coming out, and he's supposed to be, I think, the appointed Captain America by whoever, the government, or whoever wants them to be Captain America. Because there was that storyline that happened. I think it was like 86 or 87 in the Captain America comics when Steve Rogers stopped being Captain America. He left, and then they brought in this new guy, and then he eventually became U.S. agent.
Okay.
So we'll see.
All right.
I think that's the storyline they're kind of pulling from, the way WandaVision pulled from House of M. I think they're sort of pulling from that story arc in the Captain America comics.
Okay. Because my original question was going to be, do you think it's going to be Sam or Bucky that has the Captain America mantle at the end of the series? But it could actually be someone completely different.
I mean, this series might be about who really finally at the end, is it Sam or Bucky that gets it? But I think there's a third guy there that's sort of that has been appointed by the powers that be as the Captain America. And Sam and Bucky are, Sam was the one that Steve gave it to. So we'll see.
Interesting. Okay.
But I think that's where this one is pulling from what I can gather.
I'm so glad that we had you here to help us, because I never would have speculated that. This is great.
Maybe it's going to be Rambo.
Speculation.
Oh, it'd be awesome if it was Rambo. John Rambo?
Oh, actual Rambo? Or are you talking about Monica Rambo?
No, Monica Rambo.
Okay.
Oh, John Rambo would be perfect for Captain.
Oh God, they could de-age Sylvester Stallone. I mean, Disney's got the money for that.
Right?
They've done it. They can make it happen again. I love that. Okay, well, so we're going to have to talk about Falcon and the Winter Soldier in short time. We'll have an episode about that, but I'm looking forward to that next week. So Eddie, we're gonna wrap this up and let you go, but it's time now to once again just talk about Eddie. Where can people find you? We talked about how you have a special on Amazon Prime, which everyone should look up. EDDIE Pence, Pence, like the vice president, but not related.
Yes, no relation.
So tell us more. Go through it.
I guess the easiest place to find me would be go eddiepence.com. You can, from there, there's a landing page. That's a landing page to go and subscribe to the Ralph Report, or if you want to check out my other podcasts, or if you want to, there's a direct link there to go purchase my comedy special on iTunes or Amazon or wherever you buy your video content. You can go to amazon.com or Amazon Prime Videos and stream it for free right now. And you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Eddie Pence on both places, EDDIEPENCE. I think that's pretty much it. I'm kind of posting and tweeting every day, so I'm not hard to find.
There you go. I follow you on Twitter and Instagram. Everyone else should too.
Nice.
Babe, do you follow Eddie on Twitter and Instagram?
I have no idea.
Okay.
Do I follow you guys? I might not.
Not yet.
See, I'm
it's
bad
never
at
too late.
I'm going to now. I'm bad at following people.
So, of course, if you want to reach out to us, as we always say, you can find me on Twitter at Pod of Thrones.
At Kid Free Weekend.
At Kid Free Weekend for Jennifer. And if you want to email us, it's Jeff at podofthrones.com.
Or Jennifer at podofthrones.com.
Wow. So aggressive. Okay. Well, with that, let's just take a deep breath and calm ourselves. Eddie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yes.
It has been so much fun
Thanks for
talking
having
to you.
me. I
We
had a
would
blast.
certainly love to geek out with you again sometime if you ever want to come back. And we're always happy to plug your stuff. Again, I vouch for the Ralph Report. It is one of my favorite. It's my daily go-to podcast.
Every day.
Yeah, technically Jennifer's not a subscriber, but she hears it all the time.
Right.
Why would two people in the same house subscribe?
Yeah, that would just be silly. Remember,
insane.
as little as 15 cents a day. It's like those commercials. You could sponsor an Ethiopian child, or
Or you could
Eddie
feed a
Pence.
starving child.
He's
or you
raising
could
an
listen
11-year-old boy in Los Angeles.
Right. Thank you.
He needs your 15 cents a day too.
Right?
I do.
Yes.
And we're gonna look for, and I'd be happy to retweet it as soon as it comes, as soon as you know all the details. Your comedy show. I mean, if it's 2 weeks from now, we might be able to get there, man.
Probably this week. I think it's not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday. So.
Oh, it's on a Tuesday.
Exciting. Well, yeah.
Well, we'll see. It depends on the night, but we're parents too. We'll do our best. But
understand.
One way or another, we're looking forward to seeing and hearing more from you into the future. So again, thanks, Eddie.
Definitely. Thank you. If I ever watch Game of Thrones, I'll come on here and talk.
Fuck yeah! As soon as you watch the first episode, we want you back on this show to talk about what just blew your mind, because some shit's gonna blow your mind, even in episode 1.
Sure.
I promise.
For sure.
All right.
All right, guys.
Thanks, Eddie.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.